Transmission complete. Welcome back.
For us, we have Wilson, Roy, Master E, Irelia at the table. Battlefields chosen, champions ready, players staring down at each other, telling each other that they want the case badly. Irelia going first, playing down the Guardian Angel as the turn 1, and passing over to Master E with the 3 runes as going second, playing their own Scuttle Crab to get the information from Irelia, passing the turn over, back and forth.
The games are going really fast here. Roy just draws 2. Roy is channeling 2 here. Just going to be playing that Stellar Con, just going to be passing it over. Wilson, having that Scuttle Crab early is actually going to be pretty advantageous because Scuttle Crab moving into something like the Emperor's Dais, which is on the up northern side battlefield, is going to be able to bounce it back and play it Sand Soldier, right? If you're doing that, you have a 4-might unit that's defending under the Sand Soldier, and you have the added benefit of playing a Scuttle Crab again, right? So this is one of the ways, or one of the quote-unquote new ways that he's actually able to kind of maintain their resources in the blind game, right? So it means in game 1, because of with Emperor's Dais, you are able to just recycle. There we go, your Scuttle Crab. I think Wilson is thinking about doing that now. Is going to be paying 1, bouncing it back to hand, going to be able to play a Sand Soldier to the Emperor's Dais, and you can play Scuttle Crab again, leaving 1 rune up, or in this case, because Wilson has gone second, 2 runes up for potential counterplay and a potential way to, prevent Roy from pushing in to the Emperor's Dais.
This is the vital point of this tournament. Every decision matters here in this top cut. Once you don't make it, once you make the wrong choice, that's it. You are out. You're walking yourself away with some other fabulous prizes instead of the case, which is actually quite nice. So everybody here walks away with something. Everybody walks away happy, and of course, the most happy would be those the one guy who will walk away with one Vendetta case.
So I would like to add here, guys, so if you are just joining us, what's happening here today in Singapore is that we are at the Card Central Major 1. The players here are playing for a case of Vendetta upon release. Major prizes at stake. We've had 43 players who joined us at the start of the day. Now we're down to the final 8. All these players are playing in a best of 3 format, and whilst we would have wished to play untimed, there is going to be a time limit imposed just because we have to vacate the venue in less than 2 hours.
Yeah, so I have to really kick it up a notch here. Wilson really took a little bit of time to decide whether he wants to play the Scuttle Crab or not, but instead of 1 Scuttle Crab, he played 2 Scuttle Crabs, so really there's 2 opportunities for Wilson to peek at Roy's hand at the right notice. Going 1-0 right here, Wilson in the lead. Roy will have to take a battlefield to get this ball rolling, challenging the Sand Soldier token with the Stellar Corn as well as a unit.
I think opts to go for the slightly more dangerous play here. I mean, he has to use a resource. He has to pump a spell. He has to use something because right now it's 3 might against Wilson's 4. So it's not trading evenly. I mean, if Roy passes priority here, you are just giving up the Stellar Corn with the GA. GA. Did Roy plan for this? I know 1 might up. Yeah. He must have. It was a trade? Oh, Stellar Corn is 3 might. Yes, sorry. So it is a trade.
Trading here.
Burning the GA just like that, I'm not sure if it's necessarily the right play in the long term. I mean, the GA would probably have been nice for the Irelia to stay and just kind of push in later. Maybe he forgot about the +2 might on the Empress. On the Sand Soldier. Master Yi's a passive there, putting in some work, getting rid of the GA right from the get-go. That feels like, and that has to have been some sort of misplay there, forgetting about Master Yi triggers. And funnily enough, I feel like this is what happens a lot of the time. When even yesterday when I was playing Master Yi at one of the tournaments, right? I think my opponents forgot about the trigger like 2 or 3 times, and even though I gave it to them like the first time, still forget, and I'm like, what can I do?
Remember my unit +2 mine.
Yeah, exactly.
Alone. Oh, you don't remember?
Well, I
can't help you out with that.
Sorry, mate. I've warned you like 3 times.
Taking the point here from Sand Soldier and moving the Scuttle Crab over, netting him 1 more point and going up to 3, while Roy is still at 0. The ball is rolling for Wilson's favor here in the quarterfinals. 3-0 game 1 of quarterfinals in favor of Wilson, the Master E from Proving Grounds. Moving to the Stellacorn Herder, drawing a card, challenging the Tool Might Scuttle Crab. Should be comfortable for Wilson to take the loss here to get a pick of Roy's hand and getting the information that they need.
That is a lot of cards. We see here a Gust, a Stellacorn, Fizz, I think. I see a Discipline. I see a Tide Turn. His hand is huge. And this is thanks to the Stellacorn having been able to move twice already. There's a Right to Win. There's a Charm. What is that last card? Is that... It looks like equipment? No, it looks like an equipment, I think. That's maybe another GA. Yeah, it's another GA.
Yeah.
Roy's hand is huge and filled with such good resources as well. It's not like a Scuttle Crab. It's not like a Tide Turners. It's just the right amount, I think, here. Well, Roy gonna be pretty happy with his hand. Wilson gonna be a little bit worried now that there's only one up on his side of the field, and knowing that Roy has just so many different ways to push in with that Irelia, this he can play the GA. There's no Defiant Dance though, so that's the one good thing, I suppose.
Well, not yet. Because of the Stellacorn Herder, if it survives, it can move to get the card draw and dig out for the Defiant Dance needed to overpower against Wilson should the time arise. Anyways, Roy chooses to charm out its target. But it's gonna get not so fast, gonna be cancelled out, doesn't want his units to be challenged by the Stellacorn Herder, making the charm useless.
Not so fast, not a card that we typically see in Master Yi's main board right now. A few decks still opting to keep it in. I've personally put it in my sideboard. I think it's not a bad call here. We do see, yeah, just Sand Sorcery being not taken out there. Roy having to burn another rune with the GA equipment. But generally still okay. I think four runes left on tap. A lot of different tools at his disposal here. I'm not surprised to see something like a Tide Turner being hidden. No, gonna be using the Fizz. What's he gonna be recycling though? Charm again?
That's the card that was played out, so
Yeah.
charming out.
Coming out the Yi, doesn't want the Yi doesn't want any kind of breaking power from the side of Wilson. So Wilson, his board looking extremely empty. In fact, let's take a step backwards, right? Let's look at the matchup a little bit. I'm quite familiar with this matchup, and I'll say that it's actually slightly Yi favored. So Yi here needs to be able to take back at least one of these battlefields and just continue to hold. It had a really aggressive start, being able to get up to 3 points right now. I would personally like to see Rengar here onto the Stellacorn. I don't think taking the Irelia here matters at this point. You don't want to give more cards to the Irelia. If you're able to stop the draw engine, then Irelia kind of is gimped in terms of power. Her power ceiling is quite high, but if you remove some of those cards, then it lowers drastically.
Or Irelia, Wilson knows what is in Irelia's hand, what's in Roy's hand. You just need to figure out a way to take out the Stellacorn Herder by playing around those cards that he has. We saw the Discipline, we saw not so fast. We saw the Discipline, we saw the Charm that was used up already. Fizz used it again.
Yeah, and guess what? There was no Defiant Dance at that point, and I don't think he's drawing any cards. But no, we're gonna see the Rengar actually going onto the Irelia instead, opting to get rid of the GA that's been equipped to the Irelia instead of actually going for the Stellacorn. I mean, if he is able to kill this Irelia or has a challenge in his hand, that could potentially be why he's going for this play instead. Getting out the Irelia here would be huge. In fact, for the side of Wilson, so GA does get popped. Irelia moves back to the base. Wilson will go up to 4 points. Does Wilson have this challenge in his hand? Challenge would be pretty challenging for the side of Roy. Losing his Irelia just like that.
Losing Irelia will be such a huge bane from the Master E player if he does have the challenge in his hand, because that will leave essentially no valuable champions to protect other than the Stellacorn Herder if the Irelia is targeted.
I mean, having just a Stellacorn Herder, I've seen Irelia players just win through that, and I think that's fine by itself. But here, no, just popping the GA.
Oh, just passing.
Yeah, just popping the GA, just passing it over, leaving 3 runes up, probably waiting for a defensive play for the side of Irelia. Irelia gonna be holding up 3 at this point. Roy, I think, gonna be pretty happy that moves the Telecon back, draws him 1 more card. And now the question is, does Irelia have enough resources in his hand, to be able to push into this Rengar? Rengar is currently seated at 8 if he's defending alone. Roy, Irelia is at 5, so just 1 Defiant Dance would shift things in his favor.
Rengar very comfortable with 8 might, as you have said. Irelia really needs some help with Roy. Wilson knows he's trying to bait out that discipline that Roy has in his hand. With the card draw from Stellar Corner Order, that's 2 cards unaccounted for, including the draw for turn.
Here, just ensuring that he knows that the Rengar has 8 might there. And it's a good reminder for the side of Roy. Yeah, so Roy, I think, just making sure that he is thinking out of all the options. I mean, technically with 3 runes up, it could be any combination of like Discipline, On Guard, which would cause the Rengar to become 11 might instead of the 8 might that he's currently at. You know, Roy, he didn't have a Defiant as in hand initially. He had a Discipline, so thinking about maybe whether or not he should push into Discipline first, or use the Discipline first to push in, but no, confident he has all the tools, draws the Defiant Dance. Playing the Defiant Dance is going to shift things in Roy's favor for now. If this goes through, Roy Wilson just making sure he has all the tools. Defy would be huge here. A Delta 5 would be a Delta of 5 might would be stopped if he has a Defy. He doesn't have the Defy. There we go.
Countered.
Defy being countered. Sorry, Defiant Dance being countered right now. Defiant Dance being countered right now by the Defy. Roy needs another way to push it. I don't know. You see, putting that Defiant Dance out that early, I feel like you're using the Defiant Dance before pushing the Irelia may have been the safer choice here. But no, Roy opting to use Discipline and triggering the Legend ability of Irelia. So right now, you have a +3 might, I believe.
+3 might.
+3 might and then +4 from the initial ready, so that's +4 might. So we're looking at 8 might Irelia with the 8 might Rengar. Wilson here needing to have an answer, needing a way to defend. I think the best possible thing for Wilson to have in his hand would be the On Guard right now, because then he has 1 more rune up for a potential punch first. Should Roy have a response to the On Guard. 2 runes up for Roy means only 1 or 2 more pump spells left. Same thing for the side of Wilson.
Explosive back and forth from Wilson and Roy. Now it's Wilson's focus using the On Guard, buffing up the Rengar to make sure it is protected against the Irelia.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, right? On Guard, the 1 cost spell buffs your unit by 1 might, and if it's alone, you buff it by another. So that is 2 might to the Rengar, 2 might from the defense. That is a total of 10 might in total defense. That's 8 might on the side of Roy. Roy needs another spell, needs a Defiant Dance. I mean, Defiant Dance would be huge here. But does he even have a Discipline to make it even? I mean, trading the Rengar here or forcing out the punch first would feel really good for Roy at this point in time. Forcing that many resources out from Wilson. Wilson here, on the other hand, gonna be very happy if Roy doesn't have a response, because all it took for Wilson to get to this point was just 1 On Guard. Alright, meanwhile Roy had 1 On Guard and 1 Defy, so that's only 2 energy and 1 power spent. But for the side of Roy has already committed 1 energy, 1 power for the Defiant Dance, 2 energy from the Discipline. So we're looking at a 3 energy, 1 power spent for the side of Roy.
2 runes available.
2 runes available.
Disciplines will just cut it. Just waiting to see it.
Because it's 2 from the Discipline, 1 from choosing the Discipline, and then 1 more from readying, so that's 4. 4 plus the initial ready, that's 5. Oh, maybe I really should be at 9 might right now. 9 versus the 8.
9, 8, 7.
Sorry, 9 versus the 10.
10.
Yeah.
After the On Guard. Yeah.
So right now the judges are just clarifying how much might this Irelia has. I believe it should be 5. but I could be wrong. I could have missed something because I really readied this turn, right?
Yeah, ready
so
this
I
turn,
really
yeah.
readied this turn. You have 1 might from that. You used the Divine Dance, right? So you chose the Irelia, you chose the Rengar. That should be 2 might additional, even though the Divine Dance didn't go through, right? And then after that, you use Discipline, so you +2, right? And then you ready the Irelia. Sorry, then you ready the Irelia with your Legend ability, so that's +1.
Right.
So that's a 5 total might that the Irelia should have, I think. Not 6. It should be 5. Two. Yeah.
2. Use the discipline. Doing Aurelia.
Yeah. So that should be 5.
5.
Yep. There you go. Oh, that's 4 and then 5. 6.
Yeah.
Huh?
6?
Okay, I may have miscalculated something here, or I may have missed out a trigger. But if it's 6, then it's 10-10 right now. Wilson in need of using 1 more pump spell, or Roy in need of using 1 more pump spell in order for him to survive. So that's gonna be a trade at this point, Roy.
That's an on guard.
The on guard here. Oh, that's a little bit risky because Wilson right now, if he plays the punch first, he will survive. And yeah, it looks like he does have a punch first. The punch first coming down, gonna be burning some of his resources. But yeah, Roy is gonna lose his Irelia, but that is the punch first that was forced out. Roy was digging for that punch first, and Wilson did have the answer. So right now, Roy only having 1 Stellarcorn and 1 Fizz to his name and only 3 runes. That's a huge power investment coming out from the side of Roy. And Wilson seems to have come out stronger, come out the winner out of that trade.
Our Fist really did punch the Aurelia away from the battlefield as we go on to Master Yi's turn. The Rengar sitting comfortably at 7 might. Let's see, 7 might. 8 might.
6 + 2.
Right, yes. Playing out the Pit Rookie to buff up the Rengar even further to make it even more buffed.
More bigger, more better, as they like to say.
Defend against anything that Irelia can come up against.
Yeah, that'll be a whopping 9 might that Roy would have to deal with, and the only things that he has on his end of the field is a Fizz and a Stellarcorn. That's a total 6 might. That's just so much more might coming out from Wilson
Crab.
with only 1 unit. It's so efficient, and Wilson now just playing the Staccato Crab in order to draw out 1 card from his hand. He's gonna recycle 1 to actually hide a card. No, gonna be Charming. Getting rid of that Stellarcorn. Stellarcorn trigger is gonna be triggering first. And I like this play, right? Even though you're giving Roy 1 card in his hand. Ooh, what is that?
That's a defy.
No, was that? No, it can't be a defy because he
defy.
moved already.
Moved.
He gust. It was gust.
Gust.
Yeah. To save the Stellarcorn. Oh, that top deck. Able to actually keep Roy into the game. Pushes the Fizz up first into the abandoned hall. Roy going to go up to 4 points. I believe you'll see the Stellarcorn coming down here. Just setting up for next turn. I don't think we'll see the Stellarcorn being played onto that Fizz just yet. Into the abandoned hall just yet. Yeah, just sitting in the base. Gonna look pretty. And it should just be a pass from there. Wilson now gonna be at 6 points. Next turn is gonna be lethal. But honestly, I think he can just hold on to this. He just needs a way to push into that abandoned hall. If he does, then and he doesn't have to use too many resources, I think he's going to be quite happy with doing such a thing, because the Rengar at the left-hand side of the Emperor Desires can just defend and hold the fort, right, with its really good 9 might.
The Scotland Crab that Wilson has, he can just send it against the Fizz just to pick at Roy's hand to make sure that he can secure his match 1 of the quarterfinals.
And Wilson here, that much closer to victory, that much closer to the case of Vendetta. His name almost getting itched into the side of the case right now. Wilson, bring it back. Bring the Rengar back. But I think that's because he's got a first mate there. Is going to be tapping 3 energy. hovering, thinking that it's going to be the first mate, going to be raiding the Rengar, going to be pushing into the Fizz, is going to be conquering for 7 points. I like this play. This means that now his pit rookie can just go into the Emperor's Dais, or even his Scuttle Crab can go into the Emperor's Dais, pay 1 and then bounce it for a Sand Soldier. If not, he's just going to leave the rookie there, and Roy would need to answer both battlefields, and with only 1 unit, it's going to be incredibly difficult. But if there's any deck that can do it, it would be this Irelia deck.
We just have to see if Roy has the cards to do it.
I mean, we know that there's 2 Defiant Dances down already, so there's only 1 more left, and with Defiant Dance being out of the picture, or I wouldn't say out of the picture, but limited to 1, you could kind of push in the... I mean, even if you push in the Celicon into the Abandoned Hall, you're having to deal with this Rengar.
Swiftness.
But yeah, it starts the final turn with Boost of Swiftness equipped into that Celicon. Celicon is going to be triggering 1 first. We are looking at a 5:4 might difference right now. Does Wilson have a cheap answer? Does Wilson have a way to do to buff up this pit rookie without spending all too many resources?
Nope, but the pit rookie will be sent out of the ring. Stellacorn will claim the point, going up to 5.
Yeah, but Roy needs to find a way to hop over, needs to buff up the Stellacorn in order for him to hop over from the Emperor's Dais to the Abandoned Hall and potentially combat this Rengar to see what he can do, to see what, to stop Wilson from winning this turn.
Ideally, you would want to charm over the Rengar to make sure the Master Yi's buff will not apply here, and then on top of that, to make sure that the might matches, you would play something like an On Guard or a Discipline to make sure that the Telecorn Herder survives.
Or even just a Defiant Dance, right? I think Defiant Dance here would be really clutch for the side of Roy.
Yes.
But he's already seen 2 and he hasn't gone through that much of his deck just yet.
It is a matter of if Roy sees the line that Wilson has to the path of victory and intercepting it, so that Wilson will have a rather difficult time to claim the last point. Cards in hand drawn from the Stellacorn Herder. He's been carrying the game. Lots of cards drawn. Surely he must have an answer to this board state.
Into the discard problem, making sure he knows all the resources that Wilson has spent already. If memory serves right, there's only been 1 Punch Fist and 1 On Guard that has been used in terms of boss spells from the side of Wilson. So that means there's a lot more available to his name.
From Wilson to play
here. Roy spending a little bit of time going through all the motions, going through all the possible combinations. And to be fair, Irelia does have quite a few combinations that he can do, that she can do, to hop all over the place, to pump might, to gain might, especially in a battlefield like Abandoned Hall. One of her premier battlefields coming out in Unleashed, right? Every time you play a spell, when you have a unit at that location, you can increase, choose 1 unit and increase that unit's might by 1.
be laying down the car here. You're gonna be riding the wind. So are gonna move over back to base first to see what the card you're drawn against the Rengar.
Oh.
Fighting the Rengar, drawing a card on top of that, finding an answer. The answer you will put against this, but doesn't have it. Just goes game one goes to Wilson.
Yeah, I like what Roy did. He was trying to
Irelia, as we've seen in the previous game, and so on and so forth.
So Roy here's kicking us off. We're going to be channeling 2 runes. Is going to be playing the Tide Turner just for tempo, just so that he can reach the battlefield first. And having a Targon's Peak and a Star Spring battlefield is going to make a difference to who gets there first. We are going to see a Lonely Portal from the side of Wilson. I think Roy is just going to be happy with moving his Tide Turner into the Targon's Peak battlefield. Potentially playing something like the Irelia and then just reading 2 runes so that you can start abusing Irelia next turn.
Wilson will have to think of the counterplay to that. It seems like a straightforward path if he sees what Roy is planning. Conquering the Targon's Peak and going up to 1. And then playing off the Scuttle Crab. and a GA.
Yeah, I think this turn is also pretty good. By playing the GA, this turn means that you can equip and ready the Irelia next turn, so that she can actually start zipping around battlefields if Roy chooses to be on the aggressive side of things. Wilson, on the other hand, Lonely Poro, gonna be heading into that Star Spring, also lonely, but not to worry because he is gonna be a 4-might Poro when he defends alone.
Well, even being lonely can be quite powerful.
Yeah, sometimes being alone is better.
Okay. Then afterwards, Wilson will play his mastery to reinforce and replace the Lonely Poro, moving it back to base and passing the turn right there.
Oh, interesting.
Scoring him 1 point from conquering with the Lonely Poro.
Just putting the Poro, putting the Master Yi up there with 1 rune open, I mean, it signifies that Wilson may actually have like a punch first to defend. Because if Roy chooses to go Irelia Accelerate, means that he will only have 1 rune left. I think if the Irelia was played the previous turn, I think this is where Wilson probably would not have played the Master Yi and opted to leave the Lonely Poro in the Star Spring instead, because then he can push in to Targon's Peak where Titan is defending with the Master Yi, and then Lonely Poro can kind of hold the fort just a little bit.
Rune management, both players seem to be at an even. Board state is also quite even. Just need either of the player to kick things off the notch and start the ball rolling. Guardian Angel at the ready, waiting for Irelia to come down and equip itself to it to start doing out some damage. Irelia being played out, gonna ready from equipping the Guardian Angel and sending it over against the Master Yi. Does Wilson have the punch first?
Yeah, you see, this is what I was worried about when you put the Master Yi there, but it seems like he does have the answer. He does have the punch first. It was waiting for Roy to do that, but I think Roy knowingly played into that, has probably a Defiant Dance here. Defiant Dance would put Irelia up from 4 to 2 to 1. Sorry, 4 2 so 6 7. 7 Defiant Dance would be 10. So it'll be 10 to Master Yi's 9. So Defiant Dance has to be the answer here. There we go.
And that's the answer. As you have said, Defiant Dance tipping in Irelia's favor, and with no runes from Master Yi to respond, he has no choice but to admit defeat with the Master Yi going to the grave and netting Roy 1 point from conquering.
Yeah, see, this is why I didn't like the Master Yi being there. I think if you left the Lonely Portal there, you would have already kind of asked or challenged Roy with a huge question already, right? Being like, hey, I have a Poro, it's currently 4 might, I play Punch first, it's 9 might. Are you really going to commit all your resources into Irelia and push her in? If you do, you're just trading with a Lonely Poro. But now you trade with a Master Yi, that's a different question altogether.
Now, Lonely Poro buffed up from the Pit Rookie, taking out the Tide Turner comfortably because Irelia has the runes tapped out, making Wilson free to do as he pleases, gaining 1 point along the way.
Yeah, but Irelia GA, that's 5 might. Is Wilson able to is Wilson able to get rid of this Irelia right now? If he is, it would be really useful, but seeing how he took out the Tide Turner instead signifies that he doesn't have anything at this point, nothing like a punch first challenge kind of combo that we saw him do earlier to get rid of the GA, but even then, that feels like a little bit too many resources for him to spare at that point.
Thinking process going over right now.
Yeah, I mean, he is currently ahead in runes as a potential Rengar play next turn. Ups. I think Pit Rookie was fine, but with 3 runes up, or unless he has another like might unit, 2 cost unit, which wouldn't be great. But if he does, maybe develop it there. Leave the Lonely Poro alone to just kind of hold the fort and defend, because it does take Roy like a boost of swiftness equip, and then hop over in order. Other than that, I think give up on the side.
Time on the clock here, going over to 30 minutes, specifically 26 minutes and 50 seconds. Halfway through the quarterfinals. Wilson taking the 1 point in the game, but in the second game, Roy is in the lead by 1. It could be anyone's court at the moment. Just passing over Roy with 5 runes at the ready from Wilson.
I think this is fine. 5 runes signify that 5 runes is threatening enough because of the Rengar, and you already have a unit in their target's peak. You already have a unit in your base as well, so you don't mind leaving it open at this point in time for something like the Rengar. And as we see here,
challenging.
Roy, is shifting the Irelia over, is readying the Irelia to push into that rolling portal, but every single time he does something like this, he is burning through his runes. Actually surprised to not see the Rengar hop in, so that means that Wilson probably doesn't have access to the Rengar, because Rengar could have hopped into the Scuttle Crab when Irelia came through, and it's really, really good for you to do that, because then he would be at 4 points right now, winning point parity.
Wilson's turn right now. Roy has 2 runes at the ready for reactive plays, but rune management not really that great for Roy. Wilson has the somewhat open window right here. Has to expect some form of resistance to the plays he makes.
What do you think Wilson should be doing at this point?
Here hit.
Gear hate?
Just attempt to get that Guardian Angel out.
Yeah, I think that's not. You're not wrong, right? You can either choose to play something like that Disarming Rake, or push in with enough might. But I don't think there's gonna be enough might for the side of Wilson unless he's willing to sacrifice another punch first, which would be. I mean, it's a lot for you to commit to. But no, here we're looking at tapping 5, tapping 4, tapping 6. What's 6? Rune Runner?
Playing Rune Runner.
Playing Rune Runner base would be good. I think would be okay. Because Rune Runner can't be star-crossed. Rune Runner can't be Defiant Dance either.
That would prep Roy.
Yeah, there we go.
4 points to go to 6 right here. If I were Irelia right now, I would shift my 2 units back to clap back to claim the 8 point on the next turn.
That's right. Pitching it back, not letting, waiting, biding your time for more and more resources.
Drawing 1 from Stellacorn for moving.
Yeah, but no, opting to take the slightly more aggressive approach, shifting up the Stellacorn instead. And if he is shifting up the Stellacorn, it means that he's not going, that he may not be going for the, I guess, slightly more defensive play by shifting everything back. So maybe focusing his resources to defending the target's peak, not letting Wilson get on it, preventing him from getting the +2 might from the Massey Woodru Bladesman passive. Oh, I don't know, man. Feels a little bit risky at this point.
1 rune at the ready from Wilson. Arguably, if anything to happen, he would have a punch first. Honor play, but or even an on guard.
Or defy.
Defy as well.
On guard won't work. Only +1 might. Not worth the on guard. But defy would be good. That's why Massey is so good, right? Because you can just leave 1 rune open and it means so much.
Passing the turn over to Wilson and not doing anything else. Leaving the runes up, all of them, for the reaction plays against Wilson in an attempt to make sure that Roy gets the 8th point. Because if all of his units were to be wiped out, Roy will be in a very difficult state.
Wilson would need something like a double punch first into the rune runner, into pushing it into Irelia here for any kind of chance at winning this, I believe.
Wondering whether he should stay over the rune runner against the Scuttle Crab, because the moment he does, that will give the opportunity for Roy to peek at Wilson's hand and know what plays he is planning against the Irelia Fervent. Still, Wilson is still pondering about it. Thoughts are lingering, doubts are in his head. What if the Scholar Crab sees my hand and has a perfect play against my hand? Formation is vital.
Information is king, as they like to say. Gonna see 2 runes being tapped out in here. 2 runes are gonna be a discipline onto that rune runner.
Buffing up the unit and getting cards.
Waiting for a response from the side of Roy. To go through. It does. Gonna be 1 card up for the side of Wilson. No.
Defied.
I think this defy is quite key here. And I think Wilson kind of figured out he has a defy. He wanted to bait that out onto that discipline. Has to find another way to kind of increase the amount of the rune runner to start taking down Irelia here. We're gonna see 2 more.
2
Discipline again. No, we're gonna see Pit Rookie. Pit Rookie gonna be buffing up that rune runner to 6 might right now.
Buffing up units. Going steady.
There's another 5-6 more runes to work with.
Sending it over against the Scuttle Crab, giving Roy the opportunity to scope out Wilson's hand. 2 charms, 1 rune runner.
Well, I know why he did that now. He's gonna rune runner the Irelia over.
Charm the rune.
Charm the Irelia over.
Yeah, the Blade Dancer gets charmed, dancing her way over against the Ruin Runner. But Irelia, being the attacker, getting the priority, allows him to play his cards first, and Wilson has to react. And Roy knows that Wilson doesn't really have a reaction, so it is all based on a gamble.
Yeah, but at the same time, Wilson doesn't do anything right now. I think Roy will just take this game too, to decide he needs to call Roy's bluff. He needs to see if Roy actually has anything in his hand at this point to answer this charm. The answers Roy would need here would be something like a discipline. I think discipline would be enough. On guard. Would discipline be enough? It would be Irelia 4, GA 5. Rune Runner currently is at 6-8, so 8. So yeah, it would need to be a discipline, on guard for her to trade with that Rune Runner, or it would be a defiant dance for him to win this trade. And if he does win this trade, Roy will just guarantee the win, because as long as Wilson passes, Roy will go to 8, no matter what.
I think Roy should let this charm resolve fight against the Ruin Runner, not be chosen by opposing effects.
Yeah, Defiant Dance not gonna be able to reduce the might, so it will be a trade from the side of. What's that? The discipline.
It's a discipline. Drawing 1, looking for an answer. Doesn't have it. Has to send over the Irelia, but that is enough to buff it, overpowering the Ruin Runner.
No, it's trading, I think, with the Rune Runner, right? Because it's
trading.
3 plus 1, 4. 4 plus the base Irelia is 5. No, it's 3. Sorry, 4 plus the base Irelia is 8. So it's 8 to 8 right now. Wilson needs a pump spell. I didn't quite remember what he has in his hand, but without pump spell, it's just gonna be a trade here.
1 arm, 1 more Ruin Run. Ace 2.
Ace 2 recycled 1. Challenge.
Defying that.
Yeah, Defy is good here. Wilson wanted to gain more out of his Rune Runner, because if you do a challenge, what you do is you do the 8 might damage to that Celicon Herder, which prevents and it kills the Celicon but doesn't kill yourself, right? And then you still have enough might to trade with that Irelia. So he was trying to go for like a pseudo kind of wipe here, but I don't think that's enough. And with the Defy, it's definitely not going to be enough, because all Roy needs to do is just ready needs to ready the Irelia and push into the Star Spring here.
2 runes remaining. Nothing much to work here. Roy knows that Wilson doesn't have an out. Has no choice but to go and pass turn. Still netting a point from conquering with the Pit Rookie, going from 2 to 3. But Roy, having an Irelia on the base and gaining a point from holding with the Stellacorn Herder will secure him the second game.
Second charm going in. We're gonna be pulling that Stellacorn over to the pit rookie side. Is gonna net Roy one more card, but this means that Roy needs a way to buff the Irelia.
That's a discipline! Buffing the Stellacorn!
That's it, yeah.
That's game 2, going to Roy. Games are tied 1-1. Master E and Irelia in the quarterfinals. This pressure, this is intense between these two champions, these two legends, these two Riftbounders.
Things are heating up right now. Wilson and Roy, Massey and Irelia neck to neck, 1-1 right now. Games are really close. I don't know if any of these players could have done anything differently, honestly. I feel like the punch press was fine. I feel like the disciplines, the pumps were okay as well. So yeah, I think it generally makes sense, is what I'm trying to say.
Going to the sideboard over here right now to decide who will advance onto the semifinals of this Riftbounders Major 1 and stand a chance to win themselves one case of Vendetta. Out of the two matches, I feel that Guardian Angel really carried Irelia to victory. Wilson, if he sees that, should take in the gear hate, but even if he did sideboard the gear hate, maybe he just didn't manage to draw it in time against the Irelia, but who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I'm not sure what deciding in right now. I think it's generally okay. I think maybe we'd see the RCE put in a little bit more blue drops like the pit rookies. And for Irelia's side, siding out some of that Lonely Poros, or even I think it's worth it to keep the Skunkle Crab. So I'm honestly not too sure what he would side out. But yeah, both players setting up.
Sided their deck and going to shuffle to decide for game 3. And because Roy took game 2, it's Wilson's turn to go first and gain the tempo if he manages to get his first 2-drop.
What do you think of the matches so far, Violet?
Since it could be anyone's game, they're quite equal.
If you had to choose between one of these players, who do you think is gonna win this?
Oh man, very tight spot. I think I am more on the side of Irelia. Just need to be very careful on when to play those buffs, when to let the other creatures go and focus on buffing the correct, protect the correct target. That's how I feel. That's how I feel for the match. How about you?
I'm still very much favoring the Massey. I think Massey has what it takes to kind of clear out this Irelia. It really depends on whether he draws the right cards, because I think the clear difference between decks is that Irelia has a way to draw with the Stellacorn and Massey doesn't.
Even if you say the draw power goes to the discipline, it doesn't really draw that much. It's just +2, and when you are playing your discipline, it is in an attempt to win your showdown against the opponent units.
No, I'm not talking about discipline. I'm talking about Stellacorn, man. I think Stellacorn what allows Irelia to draw as many cards as he did the previous round, right? Because it allows Stellacorn bouncing back and forth. And with that, every single time he moves, he draws the card.
Right, win, move the Stellacorn back, draw a card, manually move it back.
It's ridiculous.
Trigger, draw a card. And we go to the game right here. Wilson putting out the pit rookie as his first card of the turn. Not ideal, but gets the tempo going.
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
If that's what's the card that's been given to you, no choice, you just got to play it.
Exactly, that's right. So we're talking about the arena's greatest triggers. I believe.
That is the arena's great. Right?
Yeah, I believe. I'm not sure if Wilson has gotten the. I think he may have missed it.
He may have gotten it. Eyes down.
Okay, well we'll wait for confirmation there. We'll wait for confirmation.
All right. In any case, going on to Irelia's turn, gonna be playing their own Scuttle Crab to draw them a card, just to dish out information from the opponent when he sends in the Scuttle Crab against the opponent. Very good early gameplay. At a vital point, you will need to see your opponent's hand so that you can make the very vital point of the play that will get the ball rolling in your favor, or will be in your favor. Now Wilson, with the pit rookie in hand, will go over to the arena's greatest in an attempt to conquer it, seeing what Roy has in reaction. Gusting the pit rookie, sending it back to the hand to prevent him from gaining the point. Very controlling of the Irelia to play the Gust down there, but also quite important. Drawing a card, going into Irelia's turn, sending over the Scuttle Crab to conquer, sending them the point, ready for the Scuttle Crab to be taken out, looking at the hand of the Master E, reinforcing it with the Vex Apathetic to prevent, making sure that it has to be dealt with first before making any plays from the Master E. Hiding a card as well, making the opponent needing to guess what's in it.
Yeah, both players had 1-1.
Alright. Going over to Wilson's turn, Roy has one rune available with a Vex Apathetic and a hidden card in the battlefield that he controlled the previous turn. Wilson will need to be very careful if he decides to send in the Master E against the Apathetic. Alternatively, he can play the safe route and occupy the empty one, netting him the one more point and worrying about the other one later. But it seems that the Vex Apathetic staring him down, making sure that Wilson knows that it will become a problem, and a very huge one at that, for him, cancelling out his plays of the first mate.
Yeah, I mean, there's only 3 off copies in the deck. Not too worried about Vex Apathetic right now. Vex Apathetic is just going to be a 4-might unit. Bears down at the soul of Master Yi at this point. The stuns only going to be relevant to, I think, the Rengar here. Wouldn't want to see Rengar being played, so he needs to be able to get rid of the Vex before Rengars are going to be triggered. Going to be played rather. Vex just that much more annoying in a meta in a deck like Master Yi. But he can just play the Rengar 2 base instead. Spoils the surprise, but I think it works out.
It plays out the Ruin Runner to get things going. It is a good opportunity to play it, actually.
Yeah, gonna be channeling gonna be paying a power for a hidden card there. Likely gonna be the Zonia's Hourglass, I believe.
Netting up Roy up 3 points from holding the battlefield and drawing for turn.
This is a very different playstyle from what we've seen Roy play in the first 2 games. The first 2 games he was going very aggressive. He was happy to burn through his runes, burn through that power. But here we can see him actually conserving some of that runes, just playing a slightly slower game, putting the Vex, putting the Scuttle Crab in the base, holding on and hiding a card there. That card likely going to be that Tide Turner. So unless he plays something like an Irelia there, Tide Turner doesn't have really much of a choice. I don't think this list has a back off. Would be quite surprised if it does. I mean, generally very good card, just doesn't make sense in this archetype of deck.
Normally when you want to play Irelia, you want to have a deck built with spells focusing on targeting mainly your Irelia Fervent. So other generic spells such as Not So Fast, Defiant, although they are quite good in the respective domains, You can consider them, but not too much. But what you want to put more would be the on guard, the discipline, ride the wind, so on and so forth.
I mean, just to clarify, I think that Defy is going to be essential 3-off in almost every single com deck. But I agree with you in the most sense. I think not so fast doesn't need to be a 3-off. I think a 1-off or 2-off would be fine, or even a 0-off nowadays. But Defy, super important. Back off would be a weird one. Definitely in there.
Roy used Charm to taunt the Master E over, in which Wilson responded with his own Jonyas, making sure that Master E is safely back in the base.
What, do we see the hidden card?
Is the Jonya.
No, from Roy.
Oh, Roy.
It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, I think there was a hidden card which is now no longer hidden. There must have been something else.
High turn is being played, swapping the Vex over to the other battlefield and letting them the 1 point, going from 3 to 4.
Yeah, even points here are gonna be good.
Moving the crab back to the battlefield, back to base, and going on to Master E's turn. But bring back the crab?
Why not save it for when you need it? I don't think it's super important right now to leave it in the base. Leave it in the battlefield. It's not doing too much. It's not adding any might. So you can just push it in when you need to use it. Here we are gonna see
Sabotage.
Very strong.
Disciplining off on top of the sabotage in attempt to search for the Defy with 1 card left in hand.
Oh no, it's not even for the Defy. I think this, the discipline is just making sure that it pumps up the Vex so that he can't have an easy answer in it. But Wilson using the Defy there denies Roy the +2 might, plus the extra hand card going to be pretty clutch here. So I think Sabotage will then just go through. I didn't see the card that Roy revealed, but Roy only has 1 card in his hand. Not a good shape for the Irelia here. Doesn't have the tools to protect the Irelia, and with 5 minutes left on the clock, I think Wilson's going to be pretty happy with this. Is going to send in the Rune Runner. Roy does lose his Vex, and now suddenly Rengar is online. 5 energy left means that Rengar can be played, but no, just going in for a Pit Rookie. Pit Rookie going to be buffing up that Master E. Master E pushing into the Tide Turner, and guess what? Sunken Temple is now online as well. Wilson can choose to pay 1 energy. Does pay 1 energy to draw a card, and suddenly Roy is like, uh-oh, that's 1 additional resource I'm giving to my opponent, which should have been mine in the first place. And with only 1 Scuttle Crab left, unfortunately, not going to be able to do too much. Just 1 card left in Roy's hand. I wonder what he has in his hand, which is so important.
2 more rules are
tapping
played. Tapping out for the Scuttle Crab, giving Roy the opportunity to strike, but unfortunately, the board state is not looking too great for him. Only having that 1 crab, things will be very difficult for him to get the initiative for the offensive.
4 energy being used. Vex? Oh, I can't see the declares a little bit too strong.
Stellarcorn
and what? A gust? No, that can't be a gust. Oh, that was a Starcrossed.
Starcross. Bounce back the crab.
Bounce back the crab, bounce back the E.
Bounce back the E. Going to Eastern.
Yeah, passing it over. He's gonna be 5 points right now. E is at the advantage. Crab can just go into the Sunken Temple, reclaim that battlefield, reclaim that 1 point, and then it puts Roy in the back foot.
Paying 1 to draw 1 more because of the battlefield. If he chooses to conquer it.
And he needs 5 and might to go on. They're unfortunately not going to be able to do that just yet, but 1 energy challenge? 2 energy, 1 power. That's likely going to be a challenge, I think. Choosing the Rune Runner as well as the Stellarcorn here. Roy is tapped out, so there's no way. Yeah, there we go. Stellarcorn goes down. Roy's field
empty,
completely empty at this point. Nothing much that Roy can do. I think Scuttlecrab is going to be able to push into that Sunken Temple free. It is going to be 6 points. This is likely the final turn of 2 minutes on the clock. I think this game is going to be finished on time. Roy only has 1 card left in his hand. It's going to be that Starcross. It's going to be the Scuttlecrab. Scuttlecrab May be able to draw him one more card, but I'm not sure if that card is going to make any kind of difference here. And these two decks, the cards you draw are what's going to make or break your game, even more so than normal. We are going to see the Master Yi just being played in base. A potential unit for him to kind of strike back at next turn if either of these battlefields get taken. But now passes over to Roy. Roy has, I think, 7 runes left, draws 1 card. Is going to play the Scuttle Crab. Is it going to be the answer? There is 6 runes left available, I believe. 2 cards. Is going to be playing the Irelia potentially. But if he plays the Irelia, that's just 2 runes left that he has to work with. Oh, there's nothing in it. That's going to be game. Wilson makes it to the quarterfinals. Congratulations.